Okay, good evening. Time is now 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would please rise and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Soriano.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, very much. Clerk, please call the roll.
Greenberg.
Here.
Hicks.
Here.
Mako.
Here.
Shapaka.
Here.
Soriano.
Here.
Tamarkin.
Here.
Pollier is absent.
Okay, additions or corrections to the agenda? I haven't received any additions or corrections. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Soriano. Do I have a second?
Second, Shapaka.
Second by Mr. Shapaka. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Soriano.
Yes.
Shapaka.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Mako.
Yes.
Tamarkin.
Yes.
Pollier absent. Greenberg.
Yes.
Motion passes. We will now, next agenda item, we will now swear in the applicants and speakers, and I will recognize the Assistant City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are now at the public hearing portion of the meeting. The public hearing will operate as follows. Administrative staff will make a presentation or comment on the application. The applicant or their representative may then make a presentation or comment on the application. The applicant has 10 minutes to present, and additional time may be requested. Permission is at the discretion of the chair. Public comment will then be open for 3 minutes allowed per speaker. Additional time may be requested. Permission is at the discretion of the chair. Speakers must complete a speaker slip and come to the podium and state their name and address. The applicant will then be given 10 minutes to comment. Additional time may be requested. Permission is at the discretion of the chair. If there is more than one application pending for a particular address, the presentation on each application may be consolidated and presented as one. At this time, will persons wishing to present testimony this evening please rise and raise your right hand to be sworn in? Anyone else? Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, state I do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roth. The next agenda item, we'll begin our applications. I'll read the first application in its entirety. First application we have is item V-0002-2024 to consider a variance application to vary chapters 1143.09 off-street parking of the codified ordinances of the city of Gahanna for property located at 384 Rocky Fort Drive South, parcel ID 025-0005. Check that, 000510, current zoning SF-3, Anna DeAndrea applicant. Now recognize the administration for a presentation. Mr. Blackford.
Thank you very much. Michael Blackford here, Director of Planning. First item on tonight's agenda, as you stated, Mr. Chair, it is a variance request. It's a variance request to enclose a garage. The site in question, like you stated, it's SF3, single family 3. It's located just to the south of where we are, just off of Hamilton Road. It's right adjacent to the Shoppies at Rocky Fork. Here is their access point right there. So we're talking about this home right here. So the one right adjacent to the shops Rocky Fork. So what are they asking for? They're asking to enclose their garage. Why do they need permission for that? That's because our code says that all homes have to have a minimum of a 2-car garage. The applicant provided in their packet of information a bunch of addresses and some photos of homes in the area that don't have garages. So if the variance is approved, it really wouldn't be inconsistent with the area out there. It is, looking at the data, the home was built in 1955. We didn't have zoning code requirements until 1958. So very hit or miss in that area for who has a two-car garage and who doesn't. I think what's really important with this request is that the homeowners, the applicants, they've been at the site, I think, for a little bit less than a year. Staff did some Google imaging, and it looks like the garage area since about 2009 or so has been in some sort of state of semi-garage, semi-not a garage. I know they provided pictures showing you, I mean, this is just a site plan, the area in question. I know their application provided more details and shows what I think we have a picture right here. Here was the previous condition. You know, again, I think these are workable garage doors. I believe the packet of information showed what this looked like inside. There was heating and cooling was added to this area. Their application stated that a building inspector said it couldn't be converted to a garage. Our building team confirmed that. So without approval, it's kind of in this a state of flux here, which I don't think would benefit anyone, in staff's opinion. So again, here's the current condition. I think this is when the city became aware, when we saw work being done, that again, you know, there's going to be some approvals that were necessary. The 3 variance criteria, this applies to almost all our variances. I think I'd point out maybe the second bullet point and the third. The granting of the variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights. Staff would be of the mindset that, you know, again, having a space that isn't, it's not quite a garage and it's not quite a living area, you know, that is, you know, something needs to happen, or staff would say that maybe their property rights would be a little bit infringed upon. Would granting the application be detrimental to the neighborhood? Again, the applicant did a great job with their packet of information, providing examples in that area, in that neighborhood where there are homes without garages. So staff would be of the opinion that granting the application would not be detrimental. And it looks like we have a slide here to confirm that. Again, it was a garage. It was a different owner that started that process. It wasn't these folks. They're kind of in a state here that it can no longer operate as a garage. So something needs to happen in order for it to be utilized that way. And again, 14 homes within a just over half-mile radius, and that. So again, staff would recommend approval. Not aware of any objections or anything received from residents or neighbors. There was no objections from any other departments within the city. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Blackford. So we'll now begin the public comment section. Is the applicant here, and would you like to speak? If you could state your name and address for the record and speak directly into the microphone so we can all hear you.
My name is Anna DeAndrea. I live at 384 Rocky Fork Drive South. I don't have any additional comments. I think he covered it really well, but if you have any questions, I can answer them.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment. We'll open it up for questions from the commission. Starting on my left, Mr. Chapaka.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I got a couple questions for Mr. Blackford. Was this brought up through a code violation or the compliance officer driving by?
I believe it was a code enforcement officer who was driving by. I believe that's correct. Yes, sir.
And if it is approved tonight, does it still have to get a building permit?
Yes, that's a great point. Yes, they would, and I believe I was informed that they haven't begun that process yet. I'm assuming maybe waiting on tonight before expending those dollars. But yes, a building permit would be necessary.
The application has been submitted. We're working through the back and forth of submitting proposals. Yeah.
So, and is there do you guys have plans to expand the driveway at all for more parking?
No, it can easily fit 4 cars.
Okay. All right. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Greenberg?
No comments.
Mr. Shino?
No comments.
Mr. Markin?
No comments.
I had a couple questions, just real quick. So, reading through the application, am I correct to assume that it's, the state that it was previously before the start of the work, it really was not really kind of has any utility for you? It was just kind of dead space, so to speak?
I was using it as an office, but because it was so cold in there, because it was sheet metal and plexiglass, I just couldn't work in there anymore. So we started construction. I honestly didn't know what a permit was, so we just started construction, and then we realized that we had to get the variance and start the permit process.
Okay. And any feedback from your neighbors on what you're doing?
No one's approached me or reached out or anything.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, do we have a motion for approval on item V-0002-2024?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the variance application number V-0002-2024.
Thank you, Mr. Chapaka. Do we have a second?
Second, Suriano?
Thank you, Mr. Soriano. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. Oh, Mr. Markin?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will be in favor of this. I'd like to just give the applicant credit for, one, coming in and learning about our process here at the city, but also for doing the due diligence. The application was very well done with pictures of the neighbors and pictures of, doing some study to see what was available out there was very helpful in helping us make our decision. So nicely done.
Any other comments? Okay. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Chapaka.
Yes.
Suriano.
Yes.
Mako.
Yes.
Tamarkin.
Yes.
Greenberg.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the next item before us is design review. It is item DR-0002-2024 to consider design variance application for landscaping and building. Design for property located at 975 Tech Center Drive, parcel ID 025-013-775, current zoning OCT. Given Hansco Incorporated, Caleb Frost applicant. Turn it over to the administration for a presentation. Mr. Blackford.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. On your screen right now, we have our location and zoning map. As you stated, it's zoned OCT, Office, Commerce, and Technology. Right here off of Tech Center, we got 270 to the left-hand side of the screen. Morrison, here's Tech Center. This is 825. This would be the future home of City Hall. So this is just to the east of future City Hall. Design review application. Why is this request before you? Well, it's an accessory use structure, and accessory use structures have to be approved by Planning Commission. It's a 16 by 16 foot pavilion. It's over an existing patio. Pretty minor request here. It's not visible from the right of way. We'll show a picture of what it looks like. The one thing with this request is this was sort of a long time in the review process. If I understand correctly, a lot of that had to do with the location of it being within the 20-foot sanitary sewer easement. A lot of back and forth with our engineering team, but they signed off. They give this their full blessing. It's kind of like with some of the fence permits. There is, I think in the staff report, a mention about like if since it's in a utility easement or a sewer easement, if the city ever needs to have access to it, it's coming down, which is the same kind of general language that they always say with fence permits and things like that. So very common kind of thing. It's not out of the, it's not unusual. Again, north, top of the screen, Tech Center. This is all existing. I think this went through Planning Commission about 5 years ago. We'll take a look at the building. But again, a very small area. It's in the back. It's not visible. I think I've driven by it several times looking for it. And really it's very difficult to see, but it's quite lovely looking at it from this picture. Very nice. Again, looking at a design review, it talks about compatibility of materials and things. It's not a wood building, but in my unprofessional opinion, this would be the street view. of giving Hansco. It's back in here. You know, like I said, it's not, this is the dumpster screening, so it does appear to be, somewhat consistent with the dumpster screening on site. Design review criteria, maybe I'd focus on bullet point number 3, or maybe even number 2, improvement to the design of the district. Very lovely. We talked about 825, future city hall. I'm sure, city staff folks would love to have something similar on site. So I think that definitely does improve the district there as we're getting into, that's sort of the office area of the OCT part of town. And, again, very, very nice amenity for the workers there. We do recommend approval. It meets all code requirements, no variances. All folks have signed off the request. The one thing I would say is that with the zoning code rewrite, requests like this would be administrative moving forward. So this, hopefully, at least in my opinion, knock on wood, will be the last time something like this has to go through a public hearing. Again, if it meets code. When it meets code, something like this would be administratively approvable. So with that, Mr. Chair, I would turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Blackford. Well, I'll open the public comment portion. Would the applicant or applicant's representative like to speak if they're in attendance? Again, if you could state your name, address, and association with the project.
My name is Lisa Cannon, and my work address is 975 Tech Center Drive. I've worked for the company for over 20 years, and we love our pavilion. We're just looking to enhance the environment a little bit for the employees, have somewhere for them to enjoy lunch in the shade, and that's the only method of providing shade. And you all are welcome to come down and enjoy it since you'll be moving in next door.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address it? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment, and we'll open up for questions from the commission. Mr. Shabaka?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Lisa,
Yes.
is this connected to some kind of a path at all? Goes around out of your site and around?
No, sir. Mm-mm.
So it's just for your private use?
Yes.
Is this a smoking area?
No. No, we don't allow smoking anywhere.
Is it a Dora area?
Is it a what?
A Dora area?
A door?
Where you can drink?
No. I mean, if you want to, I guess you can come down and enjoy a drink.
No other questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Packer. Next. Mr. Greenberg?
No questions.
Mr. Sharon? Mr. Markin? The only question I had, so when the original patio was built, did they know that that was going over a sanitary sewer easement?
I think from my understanding, when the permit was submitted for the patio, they were told that it wasn't needed. And so that, the patio and the design for the gazebo were planned together, so I'm not sure why both items weren't submitted at the same time. And then when, I don't know the details of what happened, but the permit was submitted for the pavilion. I don't know why it was not approved or where the builder thought that it had been approved. I don't know the answer to that.
Fair enough. So really, I guess only you're aware that, God forbid that something needs to get done in that easement, it's Mr. Blackford.
We have
said
about
it's
30
coming down.
employees, and they're willing to move it by hand if they need to.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion for approval for DR-0002-2024?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move DR-0002-2024 for approval for a design review application at 975 Tech Center Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Greenberg. Do we have a second?
Second, Suriano.
Seconded by Mr. Soriano. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Greenberg,
Yes.
Soriano,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Mako,
Yes.
Shapaka,
Yes.
Tamarkin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, the last item on our agenda is another design review. We have DR-0016-2023 to consider design review application for a monument sign for property located at 807 Havens Corner Road, parcel ID 025-003900, current zoning RID, St. Matthew's Monument Sign, George Harvey, applicant. Turn it over to the administration for a presentation.
Thank you again. We'll go right into the history on this one. St. Matt's was before Planning Commission back in July with a variance and design review application. It was for an electronic sign. Our code requires electronic signs, even if they meet code, to go through Planning Commission approval. But there was a variance, and some components of the variance was approved, and others were not. Variances for increased height and reduced setback were approved, but the electronic sign standards, which would be the percent that the sign is electronic, the colors, the frequency of change was denied. Last month, BZBA, our Board of Zoning and Building Appeals Board, they heard the variance and design review request. They essentially agreed with Planning Commission with the approvals of the reduced setback and increased height. They agreed with Planning Commission regarding the percentage of sign that should be electronic, which was whatever the code allows, 33%. And they also were not in favor with the additional color, so it was just what the code allows for colors. What was granted by BZBA was the frequency of change. Code says once per day. They allowed it for once per hour. So that took care of the variances, and that left the design review application. And the design review application that you all saw, you couldn't approve it before because it was consistent with all the variance requests. So we have a new a site plan or a rendering of the sign. That sign is consistent with either the approved variances or the code. But if this doesn't glitch on us here, looks great on my screen, not so much on the board here. There it goes. All right, so what we saw in July compared to what we see today. Again, height is the same, 78 inches. Setback is the same, 1 foot from the right-of-way. That was where the existing sign is, I believe. Again, the percentage electronic was reduced down, 32%. They were proposing every 30 seconds to change. Now it's once per hour. Instead of full color, it's black with the amber background. Amber text. The background is black. So here's what was proposed back in July. Here's what they're proposing today. I think what's important is just this top third is static. This bottom third is static as well. So it's just here where you see the yellow letters that is electronic. This does meet code or with the variances. Because of that, staff would recommend approval of the application. Again, it's consistent with the variances that were previously approved by Planning Commission to location and size. The changes here are consistent with code, again, as far as colors and the percentage of sign. Frequency of change, again, was amended by BZBA. They are allowed the once per hour. So again, what's before Planning Commission tonight is really just what we see right here with the appearance and design of the sign. And with that, Mr. Chair, I turn it back over to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blackford. We will now open the public comment portion of this. Would the applicant or applicant's representative like to speak? Again, if you could state your name, address, and relationship to the project.
Good evening, gentlemen. George Harvey. I represent St. Matthew Parish, 807 Havens Corners Road. And I think the record speaks for itself. Just here to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment, and we'll open up for questions from the commission. Mr. Tom.
Questions, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Greenberg? Mr. Gahanna?
No questions for me?
I just have a few questions, just for clarification purposes. The portion of the sign, black background, yellow writing, to change once an hour, no video, no movement other than the once an hour change.
Static, once an hour at the most.
And then it looks like, in the bottom middle here, is that a light that will shine on the sign that
Those will be
will?
removed. That's there to illuminate the sign that's currently there.
Okay.
It's a wood sign. That will be removed.
So the 2/3 that is not really lit, or is the St. Matthew, the Apostle, will that be backlit, or will that,
The top is backlit,
okay?
yes.
So
And
there'll be a
bottom
light
is
bulb on the inside,
not. Yes.
like
Just on
a
the
shopping
laminate,
center type
yes.
sign.
That was on the original also.
And then the bottom,
It's just white print on black.
so at night,
Period.
won't be that visible,
It has phone numbers. I mean,
right?
it's like, yeah.
And it's a lot. I have a lot of experience with signage. You know, we always say if you can't read it at 50 miles an hour, it's worthless information anyway. So there's that bottom part, you know, I'm not sure if it's going to end up being all that relevant unless you're in the parking lot looking to
We just
write down
used-
the phone
yeah.
number.
We used it more to raise the 1/3 up in the middle.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I think that's the extent of my questions. Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. My only one question would be addressed to Mr. Blackford. Given this proposal we have in front of us, would this be similar to, I know that the electronic sign out at Peace Lutheran is kind of,
Yes.
is kind of the benchmark, if you will. Is this going to be similar to that?
This is going to be almost identical with the frequency of change, I think, is maybe more for this sign, because I can't remember what piece was approved for, but colors, percentage of sign, very much the same, basically identical to what Peace Lutheran did, yes.
Okay. That's the only question I had. Any other questions from the commission?
Actually, I do have another question, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair.
Certainly.
Going to be the same on both sides?
Yep.
So you're going to see it
Yes.
from both,
Identical.
going east, going west?
It's identical.
Okay.
And to save on electronics, they're the same message on both sides too. It's identical during that hour.
Good.
Okay. Hearing no other questions, do we have a motion for approval for DR-0016-2023?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion for DR-0016-2023 for monument sign at St. Matthew's Church.
Thank you, Mr. Markin. Do we have a second?
Second, Shabaka?
Thank you, Mr. Shapaka. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll be in support, consistent with some of the rationale that staff outlined.
I'll also be in support, and I thank you for working with us and understanding that it's very important as a city. You know, I know you were disappointed the first time you came in that you didn't get what you want, but it's very important for us as a commission to be consistent. And precedent's been set. The new zoning code, which was already mentioned a few times tonight, does deal with these types of signs, and it's just, like I said, it's very important for the city to have consistency throughout. So thank you for coming back with this.
Thank you for the opportunity to come back.
Okay. Hearing no other discussions, clerk, please call the roll.
Tamarkin,
Yes.
Chapaca,
Yes.
Suriano,
Yes.
Greenberg,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Mako.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Next agenda item, any unfinished business?
No.
Okay. Any new business? Okay, hearing none. Official reports. Assistant City Attorney,
Nothing to report at this time, Mr. Chair.
Director of Planning.
Thank you. A couple of updates. Some of you may be wondering what's up next on our agenda, and for our next meeting And I don't believe there's a whole bunch. Not sure yet, but it'll probably be a pretty light meeting. But I don't expect that to continue. I think March and April, the agendas are going to be heavier. There's some I would expect, like 825 Tech Center, City Hall will probably be March or early April. The sheets on Granville Street is moving forward. I think they're getting very close to a hearing as well. So there's a plethora of other applications as well. So I would expect not our next agenda, but the next couple of months to be heavier than what we've seen recently. So yeah, that's it for Director of Planning.
Council Liaison?
Yes, we had zoning code presentation earlier this week. Appreciate council, their input and hearing that item. Everything went very well. Sorry. The one topic that they had maybe wanted some looking into was accessory dwelling units at this point. So we're going to take a look at that a little bit. It'll probably get a little bit more restrictive rather than a little bit more robust. So we'll be back at committee in a couple of weeks. And again, we appear to be on schedule for the code to be adopted in mid-March. If that's the case, again, it takes about a month before that's effective. And then it's from that point on, it's going to be a few more months probably before we start seeing applications that are reflective of the current code. Also, at council Monday, there was an incentive, an O&I incentive, which is office and industrial incentive. That's an income tax rebate for an existing Gahanna company. They're kind of in the vicinity of where we were talking about in the OCT Tech Center, Claycraft area of town. They're moving from one part of town to another, which is great that we're retaining a business. That's economic development anywhere is their bread and butter. But it was really a 2-for-1 deal because we're allowing one existing business to expand into a new space, and that other space is being backfilled by an existing company. So it's great to hear that news from our economic development team earlier this week. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Mayor?
Thank you very much. Sorry I arrived late, so I was sitting in the gallery. I appreciate your work tonight. I will just piggyback on a couple of things that Director Blackford said. He mentioned the zoning code being presented to council on Monday night. Just for edification or for calendar purposes, there will be 2 public hearings set on the zoning code, March 4th and March 18th. So there'll be 2 bites of the apple for the public to come in, provide their input on that zoning code. So I want to make sure that gets mentioned. We'll be promoting that as well. And I just would also like to commend, you guys have heard Director Blackford present that zoning code. You've had a hand in that zoning code here in these chambers for workshops and multiple discussions. But I really do, to all of you, want to commend Director Blackford and his team. It's been a 3-year project in the making. And to see this finally coming down the finish line and being on the verge of finally getting adopted so that we can make it easier for people to understand the code so that they don't have to come in for a 6-inch variance on something and all of those wonderful input and suggestions that you have offered as well, seeing those being incorporated into the code. It's just really, it's a relief, and we're looking forward to it. But Michael, again, well done the other evening. The only other thing I would share, he shared the incentive that was presented to council Monday night. We will also have 2 additional projects coming up to council later in February, and they are also 2. One is an existing Gahanna business, the long-standing existing Gahanna business that is about to begin a very significant renovation and expansion project. So that'll be coming forward to council. And then we have a new business that hopefully will be coming to town, and I think that will eventually be coming before Planning Commission as well. So Michael's right, March and April, enjoy February. March, April, May look to be very busy. So thank you for the work that you do. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. I don't have any official reports, but just kind of piggybacking on that, busy is good. Busy is good. things are moving, so that's always good. Any correspondence and actions?
Nope.
Okay, poll members for comment.
No comments here.
Okay. Just one quick comment, I guess. After adjournment, if we could have a quick huddle of the commission, that'd be appreciated. So, hearing nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to